One more time. There we go. Recording in progress. Well, good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
afternoon. Good whatever it is that you're having today. Welcome to Transformation Tuesday. Yeah, and this is Paradigm Shifters, and we are a growing global. Uh, let me remember. Let me start over. Welcome to November 28th, 2023. Let's take a deep breath into this moment right here, right now, where everything is perfect. As perfect as it can be. So, we are Paradigm Shifters. We are a growing global community dedicated to shifting and uplifting the whole planet, even Wyoming, right, Cameron?
That's right.
And all through this month of November, we've been talking about harvesting the good. We've been doing this every Tuesday since March of 2020. And I like to think we're getting a little bit more tech savvy, but we do have, you know. So, what I would like to do is start out, we're going to talk about harvesting the good and service work. How's that? And
Great.
yeah, and I wanted to bring everybody for this last Tuesday in, before I introduce Cameron. I know everybody wants to see Cameron, but I found this little story about Dolly Parton. And the reason this triggered me was because I saw her in a Dallas Cowboy, Dallas Cowboy cheerleader, and I'm like, wow. And then got curious. And so here is a little story about Dolly. So Dolly Parton's father's inability to read motivated her to offer a gift to millions of children. Because her father was illiterate, she long carried a vision to help children improve their reading skills. She knew that fostering a love of reading in a child's early years yielded success in later life. In 1995, she launched Dolly Parton's Imagination Library for the children in her home county in Tennessee. When a child enrolled, they received a free book once a month until the age of 5. Almost 30 years later, the program has spread throughout the United States and expanded to 4 other countries. When I was growing up in the hills of East Tennessee, she says, I knew my dreams would come true. I know there are children in your community with their own dreams. They dream of becoming a doctor or an inventor or a minister. Who knows? Maybe there's a little girl whose dream is to be a writer and singer. To date, the program has reached more than 2.5 million children and distributed more than 211 million books. From the pain of seeing her father struggle because he couldn't read, Parton created a vehicle that gives to families and communities, allowing millions of children to explore new worlds and dream bigger dreams through books. Gandhi said, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. Cultivating a generous heart is a road worth traveling. So, with that, I want to tell you about our guest speaker here, Cameron Newton. How's that? So I love it. Thank you so much for coming on, Cameron.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so Cameron is the Chief Operations Officer at Soul Savvy, a personal development company helping people connect to the power within so they can live a free and fulfilled life. Prior to his work at Soul Savvy, Cameron was in law enforcement for 10 years. Service. So currently, Cameron lives in Wyoming with his wife, Lauren, 4 cats, and a horse. So I know we're talking about harvesting the good, but I would like to have you just come on in here and tell us a little bit about yourself and what is that within you that is about service work and maybe harvesting the good in others as well as yourself.
Yeah, thank you for having me on here. So, as you know, my name's Cameron, and I grew up in California and met Lauren 5, 6 years ago now. And we're currently in Wyoming, which we love. And we actually have two horses now as of this past weekend. So, yeah, lots of animals here. But regarding the service, what when I met Lauren, I was going through my own personal development change, and I can tell you quickly about that. I had a coworker when I was in law enforcement, and he bought this real estate in another state, and everybody thought he was kind of crazy for doing that, a little outside the box. And I thought that too, because at that point I was really closed off to the personal development world and all that. And I spoke with him, and he asked me if I knew what cash flow was, which I didn't at the time. And he told me to go read Rich Dad Poor Dad. And so I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that really literally like unlocked my mind that if I wanted something different, I wanted to change my life, like I could do that. I had the power to do that. And so what was interesting is I had read that book, and then just a couple months later, I meet Lauren, who had just started her personal development path. And so she starts her business, starts building that. And there was something in me that was like, even though it was her small business at that time, I was like, she's really good at this, and she has a lot to offer people. And I had other skills to help her do that. I'd always been into photography, videography, and I was always kind of tech savvy. I'm not like a software coder or anything, but I knew how to work things. And so I helped her develop her courses because I knew she had so much to offer the world, really. And so that's how that started flourishing from there. And it kind of just had a snowball effect, and we started adding more and more to her programs and to her social media and things like that.
So service work, right?
Service work, yeah. It was in, and to elaborate on that, it was in service of uplifting the community, the world. Like I still do have a serious conviction that she has the power to do that, and being able to help her do that, it's very fulfilling.
There you go. There you go. There you go. So when back in when you were in law enforcement, that's also was a passion, I imagine.
Mhm.
And so what was it that maybe in the past that led you into doing that kind of service?
My father was a law enforcement officer for 30 years, and so I'd always been kind of around that environment. And when you're younger and in college and stuff, you kind of want something exciting, as a job, and so that's what kind of led me to do that, was something that you could help people, but that is different every day and new experiences and so forth.
There you go. All right. Well, thanks a lot. Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you some of these 7 questions I asked you about that I got from just another person that I study with. It was Tony Robbins. So, are you ready for this?
Sure.
Okay. So, the first question is, what are you happy about in your life today?
I am happy about where I live and who I live with. So that is something that I think a lot of people struggle with. They either don't like, their environment, right? But they're not willing to change it. And, Lauren and I could have changed our environment much sooner. We just, weren't taking that step, taking that action. And especially with COVID and now a lot of virtual stuff, right? People are more open to the idea, but you know, you just have to realize and know and have the awareness that you can change your environment. It may sound like it's such a hard feat. And don't get me wrong, there's struggles that you have to overcome, making a big move, especially like we did halfway across the country. But ultimately, life for me, what I've realized, it's still the same. You still have to work, you still have to be productive, you still have to take action stuff. But we changed our environment. And it makes a huge difference, waking up, loving where you're at compared to, waking up and being upset with where you are and in the environment. So I'm truly happy that we live here and, we have wildlife, beautiful scenery around us.
Oh yeah, and you're quite the photographer. Yeah. So, what are you? Let's see. What are you excited about in your life today? Like, what's cooking up for you today? I know you said you got another horse, two horses. Great.
Horses. Yeah. Uh, the, hmm. There's a lot of things going on. As Lauren is merging with BTI and stuff. So I have other things in my mind that are kind of developing and flourishing. And I'm not going to get into those details because it's my little baby dream at this point. But there's a lot of movement for my own expansion and growth and moving towards that and still helping Lauren and ultimately having a family. That I can't say anything yet, but ultimately, because that's all going to start happening here soon, hopefully.
Look at you.
So there's lots of things going on.
Yes. Oh, that is so sweet. Yeah. Okay, great. All right, us grandmas are going to hold that one there. Okay. So if you and what the next question that I really love, these questions are designed to just open up some questions for everyone else who's listening as well.
Mhm.
What if we woke up in the morning and said, what am I happy about in my life today? Rather than what do I have to do today? What can I get excited about today? And the third question I feel is really important. What are you proud of today? Or, it says, what am I proud of myself today? Yeah.
Well, first off, waking up in the morning and being grateful is super important for, I think, everybody, because there's a lot of people that didn't wake up today, right? And, being grateful, just taking that first breath, being alive, and, knowing you have a home and your family or loved one around you, that's super important. And recognizing that can get you through a lot of things. And what was the second half of that question?
The first one was, what are you proud of? And actually, right after that is, what are you grateful for?
Oh.
Yeah. So if a lot of people have like, yeah, I'm grateful this and that, without taking the time to go, wow, what am I proud of the fact today? How many days in a row have I woken up grateful? Like, what about that? What are you proud of, Cameron, today?
I'm proud of what we've accomplished with Soul Savvy and the amount of people that it's affected. Absolutely. And I'm proud that we keep taking action towards our goals, whether, working something on the house or, Lauren's goal, getting a horse or just moving out here in general. I'm proud that we continue to take action and steps to build our dreams because it's so easy to get caught in that paradigm and not take action, and become paralyzed or overanalyze everything, you know. So it's really just taking that action is what I'm really proud of.
And do you find yourself scared right before the action?
Oh, absolutely. All the time. It's not something you just learn and everything's just easy. Every new action, that has an unknown to it is it's scary. At some level, it's scary to all of us, right? And what I've found for me is that it's super hard for me to take that first step, whatever it is, simple things, right? Or big things. But it's for me, once you take enough action that you're forced to take the next step, then it becomes easier. That's my experience. Like, this is pretty funny, but we moved here. Lauren we didn't necessarily have an office for her set up yet. And so I kind of had to like remodel this wall and stuff. And, I would sit there over analyzing and trying to figure out how am I going to do this, right? I don't have a ton of experience doing, carpentry or anything like that. But the moment I started cutting into the wall, there's no going back. It's either I have to finish this or I'm going to have to hire somebody to do it. So now it forces me to take the next step. And then for me, it gets easier. Now that I'm forcing myself to do something, or that I'm now being forced to complete it in a sense. I've taken a step that I can't come back from. Can't come back from cutting the wall. Right.
Or
So I got to do it now. I got to do it. And then it gets easier. And then talk about, harvesting the good in that. You learn so much doing something new. I learned, framing and sheetrock and all this stuff, and now I have some experience doing that. And it's easier to do next time. If I had to do it again, it's not as daunting of a task.
so it seems like you have a curiosity about you as well with new things. So tell me
Yeah.
about like what in your mind with your thinking, for me, voices in my head, uh, what is it that you tell yourself at that moment of scare? Or not like maybe some of our listeners would like to hear a little insight. How do you do that? How do you take the first step?
Everything is fixable. Is kind of how I like to think of it. Everything, from a car scratch to a car dent to, putting a hole in the wall, everything is fixable. You know, Obviously you want to do things safely, but but everything's fixable. You don't want to, mess it up unless you have to, but everything's fixable. So that gets me over the hump of I'm gonna screw this up. Okay, if you screw it up, it can be fixed. So that's what helps me get over that.
I love what you just said. Everything is fixable in relationships as well.
Mm,
Like when you screw it up, it's like, and know it, like, that there's
mm,
a process right after that, like
mhm.
accepting that we're human,
Yeah,
mistake. Yeah,
right, right.
wow, that's really good.
Yeah, and I relate to doing like housework and stuff, but also nothing's permanent. And that helps me get over, you know, when I scratch something or something gets, messed up a little bit. It's like, okay, but was this always going to be perfect forever? Probably not, right? Um, and so that helps me overcome, if I get upset with the small things. It's like, okay, Is anybody going to know about this 100 years from now? No. Is anybody going to know about the wall that's like not perfectly straight that I put in? No. It's not going to matter. Somebody will probably tear this house down and rebuild it. So, it's nothing's going to be perfect. Nothing's going to last forever. Um, and but you do the best you can with what you have and just take that next step.
I love that. And once you see, I love when I was working with your team before we even started the event, you said, hey, we all make mistakes. And that put me at ease, like, okay, even though I had done a lot of that before, it was going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
What a philosophy to raise your kids, too,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So let me go on to a couple more questions. What are you enjoying most in your life today?
A day.
Today, what are you enjoying most about your life today?
um, I'm enjoying. We just got our. So I'm enjoying. This is going to sound repetitive, but I'm enjoying where we live because we got our fence done. We got our first horse here, and it's just getting to the point where everything's kind of set up, and all the work's done for the most part. So just enjoying the fact that we live here, we love it. The sun's out today. It'll be cold tomorrow probably, but I'm just enjoying and loving being here every day.
Mm. What? Hey, just I'm going to go off the questions.
Yeah.
Is it like a typical day in Wyoming? Like waking up and just seeing that nature there must. Mm.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I mean, there's so many different areas you can go and find different animals in different places. We had partridges out front yesterday. I had never really seen partridges, but the deer, the rabbits, and then you go out a little further, you find the elk, the sheep, just eagles, just lots of stuff. And it's just amazing every time. But you have to be aware of it because sometimes I catch myself being, I wouldn't say ungrateful, but just almost forgetting about it. And you got to step outside, look around, and be like, no, this is where we live, and this is where I want to be.
Yeah, wow. That is so true. So just step outside, look up to the sky. Doesn't matter where you live. We're here on this beautiful planet, but
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. So there's two more questions. Okay, what am I committed to in my life today? What is like a commitment that you're making today for yourself?
Hmm. I'm committed to being productive, always taking action, and always being expansive because it can be so easy to fall back into the paradigm, the common hour thinking, right? But always taking a step for growth because it's so easy to fall back and just maintain status, right? The status quo. But being committed to just taking more action. It doesn't mean you have to have giant goals, that you're dreaming for, but have something you're working towards and stay committed to that because that'll keep you growing. That'll keep, your mind right. It'll keep your energy right and always going for expansion, not contraction. So that's what I'm committed to.
Boom, right there. That's worth it. Right there. Committed to expansion. Wow. Thank you so much. Okay, now here's this last one that really, whenever I do these 7 questions in the morning, this really seals it. And the seventh question is, who do I love? Who loves me? There's two questions there. Who do I love and who loves me? For me, it's when I take the time to, like, oh, who do I love? That gets me into action. Because there's something about when I'm in action and I love these people that will kind of model it. See, I'm the Nana, right? And anyway, let me ask you this one. Who do you love and who loves you?
Yeah, I would say Lauren for both. And what you were saying, I think was really important because it's, when I'm taking action, when I want to grow myself, when I want to, be expansive, I'm not just doing that for myself. I'm doing that for her, for us. And so that's what makes it important. Because if I wasn't doing any of it for her, you know, what would be the purpose of doing it? And so that's what drives me for the expansion and the growth, is that knowing that she benefits from it, our families benefit from it, and even the community benefits from
Oh, tell me about that. Your community in Cody.
it.
How do you see that expanding in the community?
We've had two events here, and it's a small town, 10,000 people, but we had people come locally, and people are open to it. And I think that's a big paradigm for a lot of coaches, is thinking they can't do it in a small town or something. This type of work is something that everybody needs to some degree, because it can literally change people's lives. And going back to who I love and who loves me, talking about Lauren, I can absolutely say that even though I was on a personal development journey when I met her, that she helped me push forward and take action on things because of the studies she was doing and the teaching she was doing. And because I was still just learning, I was still in that mindset of overanalyzing and all that, but she would help me take action. And I'm forever grateful for that. And she still helps me do that. We talk about things that are affecting me, or that I'm hesitant to take action on, and she'll help me work through it and just take the action. Because whether the action turns out good or not, now right?
Yeah, it's taking action to get you on here to talk.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And I think also, for me at least, I'm in a legacy phase of my life, and it's so important for me for the future generations. And to me, you are the are the future generations, who are the parents of, who are, maybe not quite yet, but we're doing this, and the grandparents and the generations to come.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where you were talking about the expansiveness.
Mm-hmm.
What if we had generations of school kids and our kids and grandkids who had this expanded point of view about the globe, the world?
Right. No, I think it would be immensely beneficial, and it would make a lot of communities happier, more productive. It would benefit everybody.
Yeah. All right. So there's one other thing that we like to do is, thank you so much for, wow, there's a lot of gold nuggets here. I'm going to take about two things, and if anybody who's watching this, write this down. And I do this for the people that I coach, as well as different speakers who've been on here. But what you said, two things really stuck out: is everything is fixable, and nothing is permanent, right?
Yeah.
And we can take that into so many areas, our health and everything. But what we'd like to do is to put a blessing on you, Cameron, right? And the question is, what would you love? I wonder if you've ever heard that question before. What would you love for us as a community? We're maybe a little over 1,600 members strong all over the world, and we want to put some energy for people who have the courage to come on here and just say it, tell it like it is. What would you love, Cameron?
I would love for you all to hold for me that whatever work I'm doing, whether it's with Soul Savvy or a different business venture that I have, the result of it is uplifting to my family, my friends, and the community and the world.
Oh, okay, get ready to receive. Okay, here's what we're going to do. So this is the energy producing here, right? All right, and and so we're sending energy all the way up to Cody, Wyoming. So get ready to receive it, Cameron. Here it comes from Texas to Wyoming to all over the world.
Thank you.
And so it is.
So it is.
Yes, and I so appreciate you coming on, being of service, and all the work that you are doing in the world. And so thank you so much. Harvesting the good, boom, right there.
Thank you, Jude.
Amen and amen. How's that? All right.